It all began on a night when the sky couldn't stop crying. Rain had been falling for 3 days straight over the sleepy little town of Elmridge. The streets shimmered with puddles, the wind howled through the trees, and the river behind the Benson family's home had risen dangerously close to the edge. People stayed indoors, warm and dry, their lights flickering through curtained windows. But in the middle of the storm, one small soul had no shelter. A stray dog, thin, soaked and shivering, wandered aimlessly through the dark. He had no collar, no name, and no place to belong. Mud clung to his paws, and his matted fur was heavy with rain. His ribs pressed against his skin like silent cries for help. Most would have looked away. Most did. But he kept moving. Something inside him, something deeper than hunger or cold, pushed him forward. Late that night, as thunder rumbled overhead, the little dog found a patch of hope, an open garage. It was dry, warm, and smelled of old tools, oil, and life. He stepped inside slowly, uncertain, his paws clicking on the concrete. Just beyond the garage door, through a crack in the house, came the softest, sweetest sound. Laughter. Baby laughter. Inside, little Lily Benson, just under a year old, was giggling as she played on the living room rug. She was all chubby cheeks, curious eyes, and unsteady limbs. When she saw the dog's shadow in the doorway, she didn't cry. She didn't scream. She smiled and banged her tiny hands on the floor in delight. Drawn to her laughter like a beacon, the dog inched forward. He sat quietly just outside the room, watching. Lily crawled toward him with fearless wonder. Her parents, Claire and Mark, were just in the next room, chatting quietly, unaware of the connection unfolding before them. When Claire came back in, her breath caught in her throat. Her baby daughter was nose to nose with a strange, scruffy dog. But before she could panic, she saw something unexpected. The dog wasn't growling or tense. He was still, gentle, protective. His eyes were soft, and he sat like a silent guardian beside the child. They could have sent him away, called animal control. But something about him felt right. Claire scooped up Lily, and with her heart still pounding, gently reached out her hand to the dog. He didn't flinch. He simply looked up as if to say, "Thank you for letting me stay." They gave him a warm bath, a soft towel, and a name, Scout. From that night on, Scout became part of their lives. He didn't need to be taught loyalty. He lived it. Every morning, he would wait by Lily's crib, tail wagging. When she cried, he'd rush to her side. When she giggled, he'd dance around her, barking in joy. He wasn't just a pet. He was her shadow, her playmate, her protector. Lily, barely able to speak, would crawl toward him before she crawled toward her toys. She tugged on his ears, tried to ride his back, fed him bits of cereal with her tiny hands. Scout never snapped, never growled, not once. He simply accepted it all with quiet devotion. The backyard, which bordered the now swollen river, became their playground. Claire and Mark made sure it was fenced, safe, and secure. Scout and Lily would spend sunny afternoons there chasing butterflies and rolling in the grass. Neighbors would smile and shake their heads. "That dog's more nanny than pet," one said. "They're like twins," another remarked. And it was true. Even as the river behind the house stayed high from the rains, the Bensons felt safe. Scout was always watching, always alert. If a door creaked or the wind howled, he'd perk up. If Lily cried out in the night, he was the first to reach her crib. Time passed gently. Laughter filled the house. And Scout, once a nameless stray in the rain, now had everything. A warm bed, a loving family, and a bond that couldn't be broken. But no one knew that very soon. that bond would be tested in the most terrifying way. And this loyal little dog would become a hero. It happened in the blink of an eye, the kind of moment that parents fear and heroes are born from. It was a golden Sunday afternoon, the kind that felt like a reward after a week of heavy storms. The sun had finally broken through, and birdsong returned to Elmridge. The river behind the Benson home still swelled from the days of rain, but its surface looked calm, deceptively peaceful. Inside the backyard fence, Lily was giggling, chasing Bubbles with Scout by her side as always. Claire stepped inside the house just for a moment to grab Lily's juice bottle. It wasn't even a full minute, but sometimes that's all it takes. The storm had softened the earth. One of the fence posts had shifted ever so slightly, and the gate hadn't latched fully when Claire walked out earlier. Scout noticed. His ears perked up. His body went still. And then Lily saw it, the open gate. Curious and fearless, as toddlers often are, she waddled toward it with unstable steps. The gate creaked open with the breeze. On the other side, the river whispered and shimmered like a secret waiting to be discovered. Scout barked once, sharply, a warning. But Lily was already outside the fence, drawn toward the water. Then, one tiny foot slipped. A soft splash broke the stillness. Scout bolted through the gate, barking in frantic bursts. His paws pounded the wet grass. The current had already pulled. Lily several feet from the edge, her arms flailing, her tiny head bobbing just above the surface. She gasped, but the water was too fast, too deep for someone so small. Scout didn't hesitate. He leapt into the river. The water was colder than ice and twice as cruel. It pulled and twisted, trying to take him too. But Scout was not swimming for himself. He paddled with every bit of strength he had, cutting through the current, eyes locked, on Lily's little pink onesie as it disappeared and resurfaced. He reached her just as she slipped beneath the water again. With gentle jaws, Scout grabbed the fabric and turned, kicking back toward shore with a fury that defied his size. His lungs burned. His legs ached. But he didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Not until she was safe. Claire returned to the yard with the juice bottle, in hand and stopped cold, an empty space where Lily had just been. Her eyes went wide. Her breath caught. Then she heard it. Scout's bark, sharp and urgent, coming from the river. She ran, screaming Lily's name, just in time to see the loyal pup dragging her baby through the shallow water to the muddy edge. Lily was coughing, shivering, crying, but she was alive. Scout collapsed beside her, trembling, soaked to the bone, but still alert, still watching her. The paramedics arrived minutes later. They said 10 seconds later might have been too late. Claire couldn't stop shaking as she cradled Lily in her arms. But when the medics offered to take Scout away to dry off, Lily wailed until they let him stay. At the hospital, Scout curled up on the bed beside her, resting his head on her leg as if to say, "I've got you. I'm still here." News of the rescue spread fast. Local channels aired the story. Headlines read, "Stray dog turned family pet saves baby from drowning." Scout didn't care about the attention. He didn't understand applause or cameras. All he cared about was the soft sound of Lily's voice and the warmth of her tiny hand resting against his fur. Years passed. The river was fenced off. Lily grew taller. Scout grew slower. His muzzle turned gray, his eyes clouded with age, but his heart remained unchanged. Every birthday, Lily would sit beside him and whisper, "Thank you for saving me." He always wagged his tail. On a quiet morning, when Lily was 10, Scout lay down in the same sunlit spot where he used to watch her play. He rested his head, breathing slow and steady. Lily sensed it. She lay beside him, wrapping him gently in the same blanket from the hospital years ago. She kissed his nose and whispered, "I love you, Scout. Always." With one last breath, Scout closed his eyes. Peaceful, proud, loved. He came into their lives during a storm and left them in light, leaving behind the heart of a hero who never needed to be taught how to love. A dog doesn't choose to be a hero. It chooses to love, and love, when brave enough, becomes heroism.